Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 20th June 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 8 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC point of view. So I want to say one thing. So in Sunday's newspaper analysis, we are going to especially focus on science and technology point of view and as well as environment and ecology point of view. So to cover current affairs from science and technology and environment point of view, so this Sunday's newspaper is very important. And I am repeatedly saying that please don't skip this Sunday's newspaper. So now let's get started with our discussion and let us see first topic. Title says High Court directs NHRC, that is National Human Rights Commission, to examine complaints of Bengal violence. So this article mainly focusing on Bengal violence. So in this Bengal violence that led to violation of human rights. So because of this, now recently Calcutta High Court directed to come up with any committee by this NHRC, and here it need to examine about complaints of this Bengal violence. So this article we need to focus about what is this NHRC, because there are high chances to get questions from this NHRC in your prelims. So this topic will be important regarding GS paper 2 under polity. So in polity we are having a syllabus like what are constitutional bodies and as well as regarding this non-constitutional body. So here NHRC mainly comes under this non-constitutional body. So under this we can add this topic. So now let us try to see what is context, that means why it is in news, and as well as some important details which are given in this article. And we are also going to see some facts regarding this NHRC also. So first let us see context. Context mainly says that Calcutta High Court has directed chairperson of National Human Rights Commission to constitute a committee. So this committee need to examine complaints of post-poll violence in West Bengal. So in West Bengal we saw there is a post-poll violence that is happening. So because of this now Calcutta High Court directed chairperson of this National Human Rights Commission to constitute a committee, and this committee needs to examine complaints of this post-poll violence in West Bengal. And here this committee need to examine all cases, and this examination that to be done by visiting affected areas. And finally this committee need to submit one comprehensive report to court. Okay, so these are some important details. So first important thing you need to know here is, after poll recently we saw legislative assembly elections that happened in West Bengal. So after this, after polling, that is post poll, so we are seeing some violence. So because of this violence, that is violating human rights of people. So because of this, here Calcutta High Court directed this NHRC to constitute one committee, and this committee need to examine into this cases of this post-poll violence. So that examination that to be done by visiting affected areas. And finally this committee need to submit one report to court. So this is a context. And now let us talk about some important details. So if you see details, it mainly says that court asked committee mainly to suggest some steps to be taken to ensure confidence in people, and they need to live their lives peacefully in their areas, and they need to carry their occupation as well as business peacefully. That will be very much helpful to earn livelihood, and that will give some income to those people in this hard pandemic times. So now let us try to talk about some important details regarding this National Human Rights Commission. This National Human Rights Commission, it is not a constitutional body, but it is a non-constitutional body. It is independent statutory body. So statutory body means which mainly established under one act. So it mainly established on 12th October 1993 as per provisions of Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993. So under this act, that led to establishment of a National Human Rights Commission on 12th October 1993. So this is first important thing that you should remember. And after this came into establishment in 1993, and later on we came up with amendment in year 2016. So if you're talking about this National Human Rights Commission, it is a watchdog of human rights in country. So those human rights include, for example, right to life, liberty, equality, dignity, etc. And these are the rights which are mainly guaranteed by our Indian Constitution. So they mainly comes under Part 3 of our Indian Constitution under fundamental rights. And these rights are also sometimes embodied in international conventions, and as well as they are enforceable in court of law. Okay. So one important difference you need to remember regarding this fundamental rights and DPSP. So these fundamental rights, they will come under Part 3 of Indian Constitution and they are enforceable in court of law. And next one is DPSP, that is Directly Principles of State Policy. They comes under Part 4 of Indian Constitution and they are just directives which is given to state, okay, that is government, whenever they are making any policies or law. So this DPSP, they are not enforceable by courts of law. Okay. So these are some important differences that you should remember regarding this fundamental rights and as well as DPSP. So now let us try to talk about a structure of this National Human Rights Commission. So this NHRC, it is a multi-member body which contains chairman and as well as other members. So we are having 7 other members. So out of these 7 other members, 3 are ex officio members. And these chairmen and as well as members of this National Human Rights Commission, they are appointed by our President of India. So President of India appoints this chairperson and as well as other members mainly based on recommendations of one important high-powered committee, and this committee will be chaired by our Honorable Prime Minister. So if you are talking about tenure, so chairperson and members, they are appointed for tenure of 5 years or till age of 70 years, whichever it is earlier. And if you're talking about removal, so only these persons can be removed on charges of proved misbehavior and as well as incapacity. So here I want to give you one small homework. Please open your Lakshmikant and refer functions and powers of this National Human Rights Commission. So this is homework for you people. And this is about this topic, and now let us move on to next topic. Title says Ebola outbreak in Guinea is over. It is according to World Health Organization. So whenever any disease which is in news, so there are high chances of getting questions regarding that so and so disease in prelims. So here this Ebola, which is mainly caused by virus but not bacteria. So this is one important thing. And for Ebola virus, we are having vaccine. So this is also second dimension where you can get question. So this article will be important regarding science and technology. So in science and technology, we are having one important topic, that is communicable and as well as non-communicable diseases. So in that diseases, this topic will be important. And whenever any disease which is in news, that will be very much important from prelims point of view. So now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. So this article mainly talking about Ebola outbreak. So what is context? World Health Organization officially announced that the end of Guinea's second Ebola outbreak and first Ebola outbreak that happened recently in 2013 to 2016. And this article mainly says that in this second Ebola outbreak, so there are about 12 lives are claimed in month of February. So now let us see further details. So it mainly says that there are about 16 confirmed cases and there are 7 probable infections that are mainly seen in this Guinea. So now if you are comparing with that of first outbreak, so in this second outbreak, so it is mainly limited to size. And in first outbreak, it mainly killed more than 11,300 people. And it mainly seen in areas like Guinea, Liberia and as well as Sierra Leone. So now let us try to talk about some important facts regarding this Ebola virus. So this Ebola virus disease, it is commonly called as Ebola hemorrhagic fever, and it mainly transmitted from people from wild animals and spreads in human population mainly through human to human transmission. That means whenever we are coming in contact with the infected person's body secretions like blood or any secretions, then it will be transmitted from one person to another person. So it is a one type of communicable disease. Communicable disease means this type of disease that can be transmitted from one person to another person easily. Okay, so this Ebola fever, it is a communicable disease which mainly caused by virus. So if you are tracing origin of this Ebola, so this infection mainly first named after river which is located in Congo, and this disease was first recognized in 1976. And if you're talking about transmission, so from especially food bats, they are mainly belong to Pteridoptidae family. So from this fruit bats we can get this disease. So whenever humans are coming in contact with this fruit bats, because these bats are commonly consumed, okay, so whenever people they are coming in contact with this fruit bats, then this virus that will be transmitted from this wild animals to humans, and after infecting to this human, so if he is coming in contact with another person, so in that way this Ebola will be transmitted from one person to another person. So what are signs and symptoms? So signs and symptoms mainly include fever, fatigue, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, vomiting, and as well as diarrhea. So these are some important things that you should remember regarding this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says transgender portal in more languages. So this article mainly talking about transgender portal. So this portal will be very much helpful to get application of certificates of identity for transgender persons. So why this is in news? Because recently our government came up with this transgender portal, and now we are having one development in this portal. So now it is available in many regional languages also. So because of this is in news. So this topic will be important regarding GS paper 2 under society, because our society will also include this transgender, and as well as it will be important regarding governance also. You can write example, you can add this article as example under e-governance. So now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. So this article mainly focusing on this transgender portal. So if you see context, it mainly says that Union Social Justice and Empowerment Ministry came up with this transgender portal. So this portal will be very much useful for application of certificates of identity for this transgender persons, and now it made available in 10 languages. Okay, so if you're talking about this article, it mainly says that Union Social Justice and Empowerment Ministry came up with this transgender portal, which will be very much helpful for application of certificates of identity for this transgender person, and now it is available in more than 10 languages. So now let us say some details. It mainly says that portal which is available at transgender.dosj.gov.in. Okay, so this is website, and this portal mainly launched on November 25th, 2020, that is very much recently, and this portal will be very much helpful, and it will be mainly facilitating about it will be very much helpful for providing some identity cards for trans persons. And this portal will be available now in different languages like Bengali, Gujarati, Odia, Kannada, Punjabi, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, and as well as even Hindi, except, okay, so we also see this in English also. And if you are talking about some facts regarding this portal, so National Portal for Transgender Person, which has been launched in consonance with Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Rule 2020. So recently in 2020, government came up with rules for welfare of this transgender. So according to that rules, government came up with this national portal for transgender person. So this portal will be very much helpful for transgender, mainly to get some digital identity cards, and as well as they can apply for certificate of identity from anywhere in the country. And whenever we are having this e-governance models, then this will be very much helpful to decrease physical interaction with officials. So whenever we are going for physical interactions, especially in this transgender, they will be also discriminated, and sometimes there will be lack of dignity that is seen for this transgender. So whenever we are getting with a portal and this is run through online, that will mainly decrease physical interaction with officials, and it will also decreasing corruption also. So one more important thing here is, so this portal will also be very much helpful to track status of application, rejection, and as well as grievance redressal, etc. and in this way it will mainly ensure transparency in governance. And next one is issuing authorities. They will comes under strict timelines to process regarding applications, issuance of certificates and as well as identity cards without any necessary delays. So because of this, it will be also increasing transparency and accountability. So this is a gist of this topic. And now let us move on to next interesting topic. I think you might have seen this bird. I think so. So it is a common pet which is mainly seen in number of houses. So this bird name is zebra finch. Okay, so now let us talk about this bird, why it is in news, and as well as what is the study talks about. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 3 under science and technology. So now let us try to understand this topic in a very great detail. So this topic mainly talking about this zebra finch. So this zebra finch, it is a bird which is mainly famous for songs. So if you're talking about context, it mainly says that recently one study published in Current Biology. So this study mainly says that by mathematically modeling the changes that happen to zebra finch vocal organ. So this vocal organ of zebra finch is syrinx. So now researchers, they are able to recreate its song, for example down to pitch, volume and as well as timbre. So scientists mainly says that this approach of using this mathematical model, which is very much easy, mainly when we are comparing with mapping neutral activity directly to songs. So if you are talking about some facts regarding this zebra finch, so it is one of the most common songbird of Central Australia, and it is also seen in some areas of the Timor Islands also. So if you are talking about some key points regarding this bird, so male zebra finch which mainly start singing at puberty, while if you are talking about this female finches, they lack singing because of some neurological development. And next one is, if you are talking about these songs, so they are also called as mating calls and the distance calls of these birds. And if you are talking about these birds, they normally travel in groups of about 50 to 100 birds. First they will fly apart and later on they will come back together. So these finches, they can rapidly memorize signature sounds of at least 50 different members of their flock immediately. And these zebra finches, they have capability of language mapping also. So these are some important things that you should remember regarding this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says seeding a giant. So this article mainly talking about supermassive black holes. So how these black holes are formed. So in life cycle of a star, so last stage is a black hole. So all the stars which are converted into black holes? No, only massive big stars which are having mass more than sun, they will be converted into black hole at their final stages of their life. That is, in life cycle of the stars, final is a black hole or white dwarf. Okay, if you are talking about stars, small stars and big massive stars. So small stars, they will be converted in last into neutrinos, and here big stars, they will convert into dwarf stars, that is white dwarf or black hole. So this article mainly focusing on this supermassive black hole. So now let us try to see what is written in this article. So context mainly says that supermassive black holes, they have masses of million or even billion times of a sun. So when we are comparing with mass of a supermassive black hole, so the black holes which are having mass of a million or even billion times more than compared to that of a sun. And we found at center, even in our center of our galaxy, so we are seeing a supermassive black hole that is present. And if you are talking about mass of that supermassive black hole, it is about 2 million solar masses. And recently this study published in Astrophysical Journal here. Okay, so if you're talking about a black hole, so what is it? It is an object which is seen in space. It is a very dense, such that even light or matter that cannot escape from its gravitational pull. So we can see the gravitational pull, it is very high, and even it is a very dense. And one homework I want to give you, so please refer about life cycle of a star, because we discussed about this topic number of times in our Hindu analysis. And now let us move to next topic. Title says bypassing barriers. So if you are talking about barriers, whenever we are taking any drug or any medicine or any tablet here, so it need to cross some barriers. So there are different barriers like placenta will be there, and here we have this here we have blood brain barrier will be there. Okay, so these are some important barriers that need to be crossed to see good function of drug here. So this article mainly talking about one important transporter protein. So this protein mainly having an important role in this crossing of blood brain barrier. So whenever we are having a good understanding regarding this blood brain barrier, then we can go for designing of new important drugs that will be mainly useful for this neurological disorder or CNS, that is central nervous system or peripheral nervous system. So this topic again important regarding GS paper 3 under science and technology. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. First, let us see what is this blood-brain barrier. So blood-brain barrier means it is a highly semi-permeable border of epithelial cells are present, and this epithelial cells mainly prevent solutes in circulating blood. Okay, so it will not allow everything which entered into this CNS, that is central nervous system. So this is blood-brain barrier. So for non-science students, I will say one simple thing. So blood-brain barrier means it is a simple selective semi-permeable layer. So as we know, this semi-permeable layer which is not allowing all the substance to pass in it, right? So because of this, only selective drug particles will be entered into brain, that is through this blood-brain barrier. It is a simple semi-permeable epithelial cell lining. Okay. So if you're talking about context, it mainly says that, so recently one study published in Nature. So this study mainly says that scientists, they have imaged transporter protein molecule, and name which is given to that molecule is MFSD2A. So which mainly pulls omega 3s across blood-brain barriers. So if you are talking about significance, whenever we are understanding this blood-brain barrier, then we can understand delivery of drugs to brain, and we can go for development of number of drugs. So this is just of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says magical setae of a spider. So this is talking about magical setae. So this setae are small hair-like structures that are present on legs of a spider. So this topic, it is important regarding science and technology. So now let us try to discuss this topic in a very great detail. So if you are talking about background, it mainly says that spiders do not have sticky or adhesive pads like frogs and as well as lizards. So if you are talking about lizards, they will be attaching to walls, even roof of our houses, right? So they are having some adhesive pads. That means they are sticky pads are present, right? But if you are talking about spiders, they are also seeing in nets, okay? They are also seen on walls of our houses, etc. Here and there we can see. But these spiders, they do not have any sticky pads on their legs. But they will have toe pads, and these toe pads, they will be covered by tiny branched hairs. So these hairs of this spider are called as setae. Okay, so if you're talking about how this setae is present, it is just 1/100th of 1 millimeter thick. It's a very light. And if you see some facts regarding this topic, it mainly says that, for example, for this wandering spiders, so they are made up of about 2400 setae, and the hair showed a unique adhesive properties. So because of this setae which was present there, so they are having some unique adhesive properties here that will be mainly sticking to walls. So this adhesive property mainly because of rough, smooth surfaces, sandpapers, glass, and as well as epoxy resin, they are mainly present. So if you are talking about each hair, so each hair, it is different, and it had previously unrecognized structural arrangements. So mainly scientists use some highly resolution microscopes, and they studied this about the setae of the spiders. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. And now let us move on to next topic. So before seeing this topic, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. So if you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and as well as highly economical course, that is current affairs package along with the mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful to clear this UPSC 2022? So one thing you need to remember here before entering into examination hall is you need to know at least 1.5 year current affairs for sure. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 year current affairs in a comprehensive manner. And why you need to focus on this current affairs? Because in prelims, in mains and even in interview, so questions will be asked based on this current affairs. To answer those questions, mastering of current affairs is very important. And if you are talking about this mains answer writing practice, many students ignore this mains answer writing practice, especially who are freshers and beginners. They might be thinking like after completing NCERTs we are going to start that, and after completing some standard books we are going to start that. But this approach will not work for UPSC. So you need to focus on this answer writing practice whenever you started your preparation. And one more thing here is, in this course we are mainly focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills. And if you join this course, we also conduct prelims test on every Sunday at 10 o'clock. And we also provide you video explanation part. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. For further details of this course, please see the link which is given in description box. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay, and now let's come back and let us say next topic. Title says, are your staple rice and wheat losing their nutrients? So this article mainly focusing on nutrients which are present in our staple rice and wheat. So what is staple crop? Staple crop, in simple words, I can say it is a consumption crop. So we are consuming this rice and wheat at a large rates or large amount. So they are called as staple food crops. So this article mainly focusing on nutrients, that is especially zinc and as well as iron. Okay. So this article mainly saying that, so nowadays the concentration or the amount of this micronutrients or nutrients, for example zinc and iron in our rice and wheat, are decreasing drastically. So this topic will be important regarding science and technology, which mainly comes under GS paper 3. So now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that, so not recently, but we came up with the domestication of our rice from our ancient Indian times, right? So here what happened after this Indus Valley civilization, even in Indus Valley civilization, we are having evidence of rice in Kalibangan site. So here rice domesticated by humans over 10,000 years ago, and this rice became one of staple food which mainly consumed by more than 3 billion people, right? So if you see, recent study mainly says that same density of essential nutrients cultivated 50 years ago, they are not present now. And recent study mainly conducted by ICAR, Indian Council for Agricultural Research, and Bidhan Chandra Krishi Vishwavidyalaya. So this study mainly says that there is depleting trends in grain density regarding zinc and as well as iron, that is very much evident. So here rice and wheat, they are normally cultivated in India. So rice is Kharif crop and wheat is Rabi crop. So wheat is mostly grown in northern India and rice it is mostly grown in southern India and as well as Indo-Gangetic plains, etc. So recent study mainly published in Environment and Experimental Botany. So it mainly says that zinc and iron concentrations in grains are very much decreasing. For example, if you are talking about rice, in 1960s amount of zinc it is about 27.1 mg per kg. For iron it is about 59.8 mg per kg. And now in 2000s it decreased to 20.6 mg per kg of zinc and 43.1 mg per kg of iron. So this is for rice. And if you are talking about data for wheat, in 1960s for zinc it is about 33.3 mg per kg and for iron it is about 57 mg per kg. And in 2010s, that is 2010s, we are seeing there is a very much decreasing of zinc level and as well as iron level. So zinc it is about 23.5 mg per kg and iron it is about 43.4 mg per kg. So what are the reasons? So the reasons mainly given in this study here is maybe because of dilution effect. So dilution effect mainly caused by decreasing in nutrient concentration, mainly in response to higher grain yield. So for example, for acre we are going for increasing our production, right? So we are increasing grain yield. So because of this, we can say there is decrease in concentration of nutrients that is seen in this rice and wheat. And what will be impact of decreasing of nutrients? So because of this iron and as well as zinc deficiency, which mainly affects millions of people globally. So because of this, whenever there is decrease in nutrient quantity, so government have to focus on supplementation of this micronutrients, and government need to go for biofortification also. So in this biofortification, we are going to add some essential nutrients and as well as vitamins, minerals, etc. So this is a gist of this topic. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll this current affairs package. Thank you so much.